Right, hello, beautiful people, viewers of Awaken Your Highest Self. Graham Fletcher here, and I'm here with the beautiful Matthew, whose name, even though I asked him how to pronounce it, I've forgotten 2 minutes later. So, Matthew, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Matthew Donnachie. It's good to
Brilliant.
be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm sure we're going to have a really enlightening conversation. So I'd just like to explain to viewers. Matthew is somebody who works in the therapeutic area of breath work, which we're going to find out more about in this interview. I've experienced two breathwork sessions with Matthew, and one of them in particular was very transformative, which really got to the root of releasing some deep set kind of emotions that I was experiencing following the suicide of a dear friend and many years ago. And yeah, the emotional change when there was some key life situations that came up after that event, I noticed a massive change emotionally in terms of how I was coping with, say, the anniversary of a particular event. So yeah, I mean, my heartfelt lived experiences. This is powerful work, and I'm very grateful to meeting Matthew. And so we're here to chat more and find out more about breathwork, because I think the simple word breathwork is kind of difficult sometimes to imagine what it holds for people. And I think we'll just share with viewers, Matthew and I are two men in the world who are really into helping people. We're really into practically getting stuck in and going deep and trying to figure out how we can be better versions of men in this world and supporting other people to be better versions of the men and women that they are in the world. Is that does that align with you? Is that pretty much where you're coming from, heart base wise, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Very much so. I think the deeper we can go into ourselves, the
Mm.
more we discover. We're kind of the breath work. Obviously, there's a lot of breath work out there. Some is for the physical, learning how to breathe better and breathe properly. That's in a normal situation, but also from a health point of view when doing exercises. Um, the specific breath work I do is conscious connected or subconscious connected breath work,
Mhm.
which is really dealing with the emotional side of self, which is the part of ourselves that we're always taught to ignore. Even from a young age, we teach our children to suppress our emotions and not let them out. Little girls are told, "Don't get angry, be pretty, be smiley," and so a lot of women suppress sort of anger. It's just the same as men do, but as men, we're told, don't cry, man up, be strong. Um, and then if there's a little kid running around the room, if we had a couple of 5-year-olds here now, they'd be tapping buttons on the computer, they'd be pulling your curtains, they'd be lifting this picture up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
often kids are in a joyful situation. They're just exploring. They're using their imagination and their joy, and they're told to sit down and be quiet
Mm.
because us adults are trying to have a conversation and you're sort of interrupting that.
Yeah.
And what a child does in that situation is says, "Well, I was feeling joyful. I'm not allowed to do that because I got told off." So we
Mm.
turn the joy down.
Mm.
And in a lot of situations, we're told that as children to just sit down, be quiet. It's the whole children should be seen and not heard.
Right.
And very much the way we grow up, we are unintentionally suppressing our children and their emotions, um, which causes mental health. I don't like the term mental health as such because of the word, people think, oh, I'm going mental, there's something wrong with me.
Mhm.
There's a big thing, oh, it's just a chemical imbalance within the brain. I think in certain situations that can be true, but I think in probably 9 out of 10 situations, it's emotional dysregulation.
Mm.
It's not this like chemical imbalance within the brain and is something wrong with me? I just need to take these pills and it'll
Yeah.
fix it. That's for me, it's emotional dysregulation where we've suppressed so much
Yeah.
that we just can't hold it in anymore.
Well, perhaps
Um,
the great phrase would be emotional health, where, on a barometer of emotional health, maybe that's because obviously emotions and the mind are connected. And if there's
yep.
suppressed emotions that are not resolved, there can continue to be a mind piece going on. And what I find very interesting, just to give you some feedback about your technique, which was very powerful, was that I'd done many years of personal development using a number of techniques that were about resolving trapped emotions, that were about resolving things in the mind. And your technique had this additional aspect that did definitely go deeper. Um, and um, and so, to my mind, observationally, it was a bold, brave technique, because I was at a really beautiful festival called the Elements Retreat, and on one morning I could hear your workshop. I wasn't in it, but I could hear a workshop from the other side of this festival, and there's lots of shouting going on. There's a bit of emotional release going on, and there was a number of people in this group. So it was almost like energetically I could hear it from and part of me was going in my head going, well, this is interrupting the workshop that we're in at the moment, but quickly let go of that. And then I was kind of going, well, it's an interesting energy to hear those people at a distance bravely releasing in a kind of a controlled, safe space. And so the next day, when I could see that you were doing the workshop again, my partner and I were like, "Oh yeah, we should go and check that out." And I had no idea of how deep it could go, and also just, yeah. So with what I would observe back to you is the way that you held space was fantastic. The way that you guided through people, and I think there's something special, but in a group setting, um, for people to release collectively. I think there must be something magical that happens energy wise in terms of people coming together to openly release. And it probably happened in more kind of ancient shamanic kind of tribes, doesn't it? In terms of like
Yep.
group dynamics. And so what you're kind of doing is almost like a modern day version of something that might have happened in smaller community cultures. Does that resonate with you as a description?
Yeah, very much so.
Mm,
We did it, what it brought up for me then was, so we did a retreat with some Peruvian shamans about probably 5, 10 years ago.
wow.
Um, and they looked at breath work and the sessions that we did and basically said, you're energetic shamans.
Wow.
And it's like an ayahuasca ceremony without the purge and without the medicine.
Ah.
Um, and it's very much what it is because we're not allowed to express our emotions. And if somebody has harmed us or we've been abused in a mental, physical, sexual way,
Mm,
um, we don't just want to forgive and forget. And so sometimes it is about that kind of like emotional purge.
mm,
And it's being able to say some of the things that we wish we could have said
yeah.
as a child. And what that helps you do is unlock those emotions and let them out.
Mm,
That changes you on an energetic, emotional level, and you can't go back from that.
yeah.
So what you're able to do within one of my breathwork sessions is untie the past emotionally.
Mm,
And it's those situations for me, the reference I would use is my mother. So I had a heavily abusive sort of relationship with my mother when I was younger, always told I'm not good enough. And I've basically lived my life thinking that A, I'm stupid, B, I'm not good enough, and C, that nobody could love me because if my own mother can't love me, then nobody can.
okay.
And that shaped 30 years of my life.
Okay.
Um, and the universe was constantly reflecting back how that was almost true, but only because that's how I felt. So, as spiritual law, as within, so without, if you're struggling in life or if you're attracting the same people, the same abusive relationships, the same situations, it's kind of like most people in the world, I would tell you, are not happy. And we look at other people and think, oh, it's okay for them. Or and one of the big mind things is, oh well, when I'm rich, when I've got £1 million, when I've got this house and that car and those two dogs and the wife and the 2.4 children, then I'll be happy.
Mm,
And they get all of that and they realize they're still not happy.
mm,
So what we do within a breathwork session, and there's a huge amount that goes into it. So my training was 4 years. We also learn Reiki and other energetic shamanic tools along the way.
Mm.
Um, but because I've been working on myself for 15 years using breath work, the more you clear yourself out, the more clear of a channel you are. So the higher vibration you're able to hold
Mm.
um, for large groups of people, which is one of the reasons why people have such big transformations, because it's like often what we just need to be told that we're safe, it's okay to deal with this,
Yeah.
and there are no words that we can't use, because I found I did a lot of talk therapies which helped me understand some of the stuff around what I had experienced. But it was only really when I tried breath work that it fundamentally changed how I felt. But then it gave me the clarity that actually it wasn't me. I wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
Everything that my mum put on me was just her telling me how she felt about herself. So we call it finger pointing. So if I was to point my one finger at you, there's three pointing back at me.
Right.
So then my mum used to call me an idiot and tell me that I'm not good enough and that I couldn't be loved. What she was actually saying is that she feels like an idiot. She feels like she can't be loved. And so we project how we feel onto others. Um, but when we take that on board, you mentioned suicide earlier. I lost my brother to suicide about 5 years ago.
Mm.
Um, but I also spent a period of about 10 years suicidal myself.
Okay.
Um, and one of the things that I realized that is massively important is that people think that people that are suicidal want to die. Well, they don't. They just can't bear living the way that they are.
Mm.
So they feel as though they've been struggling for so long and they've been trying to make changes, and those changes just haven't come. And with the talk therapies, it's kind of like, I think they're fabulous. It's one part of it. Um, but it never gave me that clarity that I needed that I got from breath work. So I think
Yeah.
with these therapies, I know we're very much on the same page. It's kind of, and the way I would reference it is you never see a builder with just one hammer,
Right. Yeah, sure.
because to build a house, you need five different hammers.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about going in with a sledgehammer and hitting it hard. And other times it's a little tap, tap, tap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think talk therapies alongside breath work and obviously some of the stuff that you do, the muscle testing and all the other things, it's like we need these tools to really be able to fix ourselves, because the truth is no one can heal you, but you can heal yourself. There's a big term in the spiritual world that
Right.
I'm a healer, and my personal opinion on that is I am a healer and I can provide energy and space for you. However, I'm not healing you, you're healing yourself,
Mm.
which makes you the healer.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of people out there that would say that I can heal you and I can do this and I can do that. Personal opinion, run. We can only heal ourselves,
Yeah.
and we can help others heal,
Yeah.
but we're not healing others as most people would say it, because I think that takes the credit away from the person doing the work. I'm providing the space, the tool, and the opportunity for you to do the work. In the breathwork sessions that you've done with me, you absolutely went in with an open mind and an open heart, and whatever came up, you went for it.
Mm-hmm.
So you healed yourself.
Yeah, sure. And I think that for me,
Yeah.
what the magical dynamic seemed to be was, so I'd overheard the session, thought I'd come, and I wasn't really quite sure about, but the initial something dropped in, focus on this, and then the great thing was because I kind of opened up that I was going to do that when you were kind of coming up and guiding the space and go deeper, really get in there. Just that collective group kind of permission to do so, permission, and hearing other people maybe having a swear or a scream or a cry collectively. I think it was a powerful thing. And just like, about 2 weeks later, I had the anniversary of a date when my friend had committed suicide, which would normally I would put time aside to have a fire and look at some memories and photographs of him to like honor his memory and influence in my life. And I really noticed an incredible transformation of my state. It was like there was a tranquility within me because I'd had a lot of heart around that because my family hadn't spoken to me as well. So I'd had like a treble, quadruple kind of grief. They hadn't been there to sort of support me after I'd supported them on many occasions. And so the impact of that suicide was pretty massive. But on that day, it was just like, gosh, I kept on, it was almost like I was like looking around. If my head or my brain was like a room, I was kind of looking around going, where's that bit that was there last year? Or where's that bit that was there the year before? And that was like, I was like, wow, this is like a real noticing. I'm able to honor and remember his memory on that day, but like the piece that had gone from whatever kind of came out. And I think the great thing, again, from an analytical mindset point of view, was I'd done lots of clearing already to do with that tragic event, and I'd grieved painfully for that my dear friend. But I think your technique was had this more subtle dimension whereby it was to able to get more deeper into the foundations. And with
Yeah,
your encouragement and the group setting and the whole thing, you were able to get me to stuff that I couldn't get to myself through
yeah,
the conscious minded process. And I think that's to me the thing that excites me about the work that you're doing, because that to me, I've done a lot of work trying to clear on lots of these things, and yet there was still this anger and hurt and frustration on multiple dimensions. But again, I couldn't put them into particular easy sections because sometimes they were intertwined. But
yeah.
yeah, and so I think that's my takeaway. I was just on that day, just sat in my garden, going, "Wow, like this is just like really markedly changed." So I think, maybe that could be an encouraging thing if anybody's recovering from a trauma of a similar dimensions, whilst somebody could hear us talking and going, well, that sounds a little bit full on. I mean, the fact that, I was having a bit of a shout or a bit of a cry or my body was shaking in the session, it might not sound that attractive an option, but the results of it are like, you've kind of maybe got close to getting quite a lot of this out. And you've got a way of guiding people through it that is very much about just trying to get them to go further. Just go that little bit further. You can do it. You're creating, and when you're doing that with everybody in a room or an outdoor space, like, I truly believe that there must be something symbiotic that happens where everybody's slightly aligned in consciousness wise.
Yeah,
So you're holding the group in a magical way, aren't you? Do you think that is that how you see
yeah. Yeah, I'm not working with people, I'm working with souls.
it? Yeah,
And those souls will come together
yeah,
in the right setting, in the right way. And as you say, like certain people will be venting, so some people will be swearing
right.
because again, it's like saying all of the things to our abuser that we wish we could have said.
Mm,
Some people will just be crying. Some people will be laughing. Um, and so it's a real interesting group how the group serves each other.
yeah.
Um, in that I used to have a massive reaction if I heard a woman crying, it would make me angry
Mm,
because I knew most of the time it was a man or another or a person that had caused that. And
mm,
so what was really interesting, it's kind of like the woman next to me was crying, which then made me angry. I then vented, which then triggered her to
okay.
deal with
Right.
some abuse from a man.
Right.
So when we look at it from a spiritual level, which there's a massive science, medical, and spiritual side to breath work, and that's why my training was 4 years because we go into each of those,
Ah,
and it's by going into each of those that you're able to create the magic that we do within
yeah.
breath work. I know I've spoken to a lot of people that's like, oh, I'm training in breath work, it's 6 months. And I cringe because I could literally talk to you for months and months about breath work and still not give you everything that I know. Um, but from that spiritual level, it is like souls coming together and going, right, do you know what? We're doing this now.
Mm,
Um, and by working, because we're not working with a conscious mind,
Mm.
So science would tell you that we can only use 10% of our brain at one time. That's not true. There's three parts that make up the consciousness or conscious mind. So you've got the conscious mind, which is 10%. You've got the subconscious mind, which is the 40%. And then you've got the superconscious mind, which is the other 50%. Um, all of these can be accessed using various different tools. Um, Einstein used to say that some of his biggest ideas came within daydreaming.
Mm.
That was him connecting with the superconscious.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, when we're working in breath work, we work specifically with the subconscious mind because it's like your own personal library. So
Yeah.
it's all the good books, bad books, also it's all your trauma, all your memories, and it's like when you learn to drive. Once you do something 21 times, often it just kind of it's like downloading into your subconscious because when
Yeah.
you're driving, you don't consciously think about what you're doing. So what that does is shows us that we store information on a subconscious level and it just naturally happens. They say it's like riding a bike. Once you know, you can jump on one 20 years later and it just happens. And it's because when you use repetition and you do something again and again and again, it naturally embeds into our subconscious. So you have memories right back to when you were in the womb.
Mm.
You may not remember that you have that,
Yeah, sure.
but you do because it's all sort of downloaded into your subconscious. So visiting that subconscious,
Mm.
it's also visiting the part of you that knows everything about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It knows exactly what you need
Mm.
and it knows exactly in what order you need it.
Mm.
So my job is to guide you into that so that your soul or
Yeah.
your subconscious can go, right, it's this stuff around my mate that committed suicide. It's this stuff around my family. That's the stuff I need to work on now
Mm.
because every breath work is different. And although you will have core stuff that keeps coming up in different sessions, you'll also be dealing with a lot of other stuff around that as well. And it
Mm.
could just be when you fell over at 5 years old, bumped your
Yeah.
knee, looked up for support from your parents, and they looked at you and said, "Come on, up you get." And actually, what you really needed was a hug
Mm.
and to be told that you were okay and you're loved.
Mm.
And it might sound really small, but some of those suppressions that we put down is it's kind of like I don't count. What I needed was a hug, and I needed to be told that I was loved and I was okay. And what I was told to do is get up.
Mm.
And so, a lot of these things that we go through in life, and as I say, they map out the things we're told when we're younger. We then believe, and then our life works out in the way that it does because we're believing something that may not even be true to us.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and it's how I took my life from a I don't want to be here anymore and how I can't live like this anymore to I can't believe I get to live this life because it's amazing. And I used to work in construction, hence the references to having a full toolkit.
Okay.
But when I tried breath work, it was kind of like I didn't want to do anything else because to be able to help people change their lives in the way that I do
Mm.
is priceless. There's no better feeling. And like I say, I didn't want to be here for a large portion of my life, but now I live every day in joy with that passion, and I get to help others who just didn't think they would have a chance.
Mm.
And so, like I say, our outer world is just reflecting back to us what's going on inside.
Mm.
So if there's chaos, if your business isn't working in the way that you wanted it, if life isn't working out in the way that you dreamed of, then I highly recommend trying breath work
Mm.
with with me. There's
Yeah.
lots of different practitioners out there, but one thing I am constantly fed back is I've tried a lot of breath work, but that was something else. That was deeper, and I some of that I put down to the personal work that I've put in and the reverence I have for the tool. So
And is it just group settings that people can engage in, or is there other ways to do it as well if people want private kind of approaches?
yeah, I mean, I find private is probably the most powerful. Some people that say that they find like a group setting more powerful because, as you said, you've got that group dynamic
Right.
where it's just 12 people all kick off. So for some people, group sessions could be more powerful, and they like to get lost in the group.
Right.
So I've had people feed back to me. It's kind of like, oh, I thought at the start of the session, I'd be able to kind of get away with not doing anything.
Right.
But
Okay.
what it allows them to do is when somebody's screaming over there and
Yeah.
somebody's
Yeah.
crying and then somebody's laughing,
Yeah.
people will let it out a bit more.
Yeah.
Personally, I've found with myself and my clients, one-to-one allows you to go like another step deeper
Okay.
because I'm only supporting one person in that space. I'm not supporting a group of, say, 10.
Right.
So they get all of my energy, they get all of my attention,
Right.
and you can be really specific. Having that confidentiality of a one-to-one session where, and again, this is the beauty of breath work. You can say nothing at all,
Hmm.
or you can pour your heart out.
Yeah.
You'll still do the same amount of work. Um, and it's what I liked about the tool to start with because I'm very, very comfortable talking about my story. Um, but at first, when I wasn't, what was lovely is I didn't have to talk about it and I didn't have to explain to anybody, and I could still deal with it.
Mm.
Um, which to me, again, just adds another level to it, which is great because I've worked with a lot of women dealing with sexual trauma, and actually they don't want to talk about it and they don't want to go over it and over it again. But by dealing with the pain and all of the emotional stuff that they felt at the time, I did a group of 6 women who were all suffering with fibromyalgia. And one of the key things that came out over those, well, I think we did a total of 6 sessions. It was just a free trial. Um, they all reduced their meds by up to 90%.
Wow.
They said that they had less pain. And what they were saying is because they couldn't understand what happened to them, they then went into almost like a self-blame,
Okay.
which is very common in trauma because we don't understand why something bad has happened to us. So then our conscious mind will try and work it out. Now, the conscious mind is only 10%. It's very small. So it doesn't have the capability to fully work out the situation. The truth is, something happened to you that was really, really bad, and it wasn't your fault. It was the other person that was, I'm going to use the term sick. Um, and but what happens is something happens, and then it's horrible. We don't understand it. So then the conscious mind kicks in and then tries to rationalize the situation. Oh, maybe maybe I shouldn't have walked down that street late at night. Maybe my skirt was a bit short. Maybe my top was a bit low. And again, this is the rational lies that the conscious mind tells us. This happened because of this. It could have been that. It could have been this.
Mm.
It's telling ourselves rational lies and it's assuming things, which we know when we assume something there could be a million explanations, and I could tell you now, you're very unlikely to pick the correct one, which was unfortunately you came into contact with somebody that was very ill. They did something to you, it wasn't your fault. Um, and it's dealing with that. But what a lot of the women explained is the fibromyalgia and that sort of thing is effectively the body attacking itself. Autoimmune diseases, a lot of the time when you look at the pathology, it's the body attacking itself.
Wow.
So the way I look at it is where are you emotionally or mentally attacking yourself, and your body is just showing that back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I believe a lot of physical pathologies are actually it's just the body's way of going, can you sort this out? Can you see this? Can you work this out? But again, we're not educated at school on the mental, the emotional, and the physical, and how they're all intertwined, and how to fix it, how to work yourself out. As we were saying before, we like to go deep. We're men of discovery. We like to let's get into the nit and gritty,
Mm.
because a lot of people in spiritual terms they say, oh, it's all love and light, and you've got to forgive and forget and surrender and all that. And yes, that's one part of it,
Yeah. Sure.
but it's the second part. And that's after going through, excuse my French, the shit and the grit,
Mm.
which is the horrible stuff that we've blocked out, that we don't want to feel, but by going through that A, it feels nothing like it did before, but B, the transformation is unreal. Um, and we've got used to taking the easy option. I mean, I don't even have to make myself a coffee now. I could get on my phone and order one, and in 20 minutes, someone will turn up with a coffee, and I can do that with my dinner. And when you look at how we've evolved as human beings, we've got all this wonderful technology and all these wonderful services. But actually, what gives you the most out of something? It's not the 5 minute walk around the corner. It's the 2 hours trudging up a mountain, telling yourself, "Oh, I can't go on. I can't do this. This is difficult." Da 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 da. And it's just one more step, just one more step, just one more step, and then you find yourself stood on top of a mountain with the most breathtaking view that you've ever seen, and it's worthwhile. So that's
Mhm.
where people, although they will shy away from the emotional work,
Yeah.
it brings the biggest result, and
Sure.
by putting that effort in, you get more out. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we've kind of reached about a sort of. We've got about a couple of minutes left just to kind of wrap up, just because of the limitations of the recording. But I think that bit is a beautiful point that you've kind of brought the conversation to. Is doing the work, are you going to get stuck in? Only you will know what you've got to do. You can meet some people that can help you, but you've got to want to get stuck in. And I think, my learning over these years is I read this book a number of years ago called PTSD Time to Heal, and it really advised to not talk out loud about traumatic experiences, but to get to the
Yeah,
bottom and resolve the roots. So I think that's why I think your technique's very powerful, because you're getting deep and you're resolving stuff, but you're not necessarily doing that, talking back to your subconscious mind from the conscious mind back into the ears and re-traumatizing yourself and creating a feedback loop. So you're
yeah,
moving away from that, and obviously the results are, you've got myself testifying to the outcomes that I had. You've got a fantastic story there about the women's group, which is fantastic, and I'm sure you've got loads more. But I think what
mm.
we'll do now is, if you could just tell people where they can go and find you, and then we've got about a minute left, and then we could wrap up. And if you want to have another interview, I'd be quite happy to chat more. But yeah, where can people find out about your work?
Yeah. So obviously, my name's Matthew James Donnachie. They can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. My website is www.innerbalancelife.co.uk. So they can always contact me through that. So I'm on most of the social platforms. So either through one of them or through my website. And yeah, if I could leave you with one little tip, it's kind of like the best things in life are not the easy things. Um, uh, but
Brilliant.
why wouldn't you do it?
Get stuck in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to press stop now. Thanks for your time, Matthew.